This week we studied two portions, Matot and Masei. It's the last two portions of the book of Numbers, beginning in chapter 30. The beginning of the portion teaches us the law of vows. According to the Torah, as explained in this week's portion, a person is allowed to make a vow and they must keep their vow. However, if they want to change their mind for whatever reason, there are ways for annulling the vow or stopping the vow. The Torah outlook on vows seem to be contradictory, because the Talmudic teaching of Jerusalem, the Jerusalem Talmud teaches us that anytime someone makes a vow, they are shunned down upon. As the Talmud tells us, it's not enough, the prohibitions and restrictions God gave us, that you need to add to it. It is inappropriate, therefore, and the Torah does not look at it in a positive way. Yet, the Talmud, Babylonian Talmud, teaches us, in the Mishnah, that nedarim siyag laprishut, vows enable a person to restrict himself from falling and breaking Jewish law. Vows are normally made when someone wants to make sure that he does not cross the line by, for example, eating not kosher, so he makes a vow not to walk through a certain street, or not be influenced by a friend who might be a bad influence, so he makes a vow not to socialize with that person, and etc. So the Mishnah tells us that in order for a person to keep himself following God's standards, taking vows will enable as another tool to assist in following God's way. So which way is the proper way to look at vows? Is it the positive way, as mentioned in the Mishnah of Ethics of Our Fathers, that it enables a person to follow God? Or it is according to Jerusalem, who criticized a man for taking vows, saying, not enough, God restricted us in many ways of our life, do we need to add more to it? The Lubavitcher Rebbe explains it in the following. He says that actually it depends on the person himself. A pious, righteous man who follows God's way and is able to serve God in the proper way, this person does not need vows. That's the person the Jerusalem Talmud is referring to, because that person on his own, so to say, he's walking properly in front of God, he is serving God, and the Talmud in Jerusalem is talking about saying, please don't add more restrictions, it's enough what God gave you, just stick to the plan. However, when a person is falling down and he fails to serve God and he succumbs to temptation, that's when vows are appropriate, so to say, creating an extra fence, preventing a person from falling into the pitfall of disobeying God. In that case, the Mishnah says, nedarim siyag laprishut. Vows are the borderline or the fence that protect a person from disobeying God. That will explain one more thing. The beginning of this week's portion, dealing with nedarim, with vows, is teaching us that the leader of the community leader, has the power to annul someone's vows. One can ask, why is the leader involved in annulling vows? Why shouldn't we just, the Torah, concentrate more about making vows? Says the Rebbe, because a community leader is someone who is in the category that Jerusalem Talmud is talking about, where vows are not the proper thing for. He should have stayed away from taking vows, because as a leader, he must be meticulous in his serving of God and he's doing the right thing. Therefore, the relationship of a leader vis-a-vis vows is all about annulling vows and refraining from taking vows. And that's why when the Torah this week begins with the law of vows, the Torah the Torah brings the Jewish leaders in the context of annulling vows, as they themselves represent the category of people whom vows are not the proper thing to do and should stay away from. Thank you very much.